Hi, Blair. Nice to meet you.
Hi, it's so nice to meet you as well, and thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. So for everybody who's watching, Blair is an incredible PR person. She has done marketing projects for major names like Meta, Google, Apple, Oracle, Adobe, and Visa. And she began working with the UN to communicate sustainable development goals to the Fortune 500. She has an incredible wealth of knowledge, and I wanted
Oh,
to pick her brain about AI today. So, welcome, Blair.
thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, I'm going to jump right into it because I have a lot of ground to cover in 30
Sure.
minutes. But let's start with you have an incredible background in B2B marketing and working with big names like Meta, Google, and Apple. Have you seen AI transform marketing strategies and operations over the years?
I have, and particularly, so AI has both increased the efficacy and efficiency of marketing,
Mhm.
like research trends now become a breeze, right? But I've
Mhm.
also seen it really separate companies from their customers. So, sure, things like chatbots are super efficient, but they're also putting an additional step between you and your customer. And so
Right.
sometimes when you're losing that human touch, I'm seeing just a lot of people also become disheartened and disenchanted with that, which isn't a good thing from a CMO perspective, right?
Of
Um,
course.
so a little can definitely go a long way. And I always encourage people to incorporate personal and human touches wherever they can alongside their AI. So there's kind of a way to really maximize both.
Right.
We know that AI can make personalization just like a ton easier, which is great
Yeah.
and really, really
Yeah.
effective. So, considering all the things, that's amazing, but don't take it too far, right? Where you're like so far away from your customer that you really can't um, touch them in a really personal way very quickly either. So, things like personalization, where you're able to send, multiple emails at a time, but really customizing those things are great and they become a ton easier. And I'm sure, we like to call that spray and pray. Uh,
Yeah.
so spray and pray can sometimes work, and it's certainly made easier by AI, but that doesn't always necessarily make it more effective. So there's definitely a balance.
Right. Yeah. No, I that's an excellent point. I've seen that a lot. I feel like everybody's just overwhelmed and kind of drowning at this point, and they're just
Yeah.
like trying to see what makes sense. And you're absolutely right; it adds an extra step between you and your customer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although, I mean, yeah, that's the thing. We with more and more effective chatbot is becoming a little less human, which is also why I think like small events, experiential marketing, that kind of stuff is going to come back in trend. The more human it
Oh, yeah.
is, yeah. Do you see a
Oh,
lot of
yeah.
small people moving towards smaller conferences, smaller events, more human touch point?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Just I think people are really clamoring for that, and I think we're seeing a lot of,
Mhm.
like, in particular, AI-driven content and stuff like that, and even the platforms are starting to really become aware of that, and they'll now, like, really throttle that content. So AI can be
Yeah,
used for so much
yeah.
good, right? And it can make our
Mhm.
lives so much easier. Particularly my favorite thing to use it for is research and different things like that because I get a lot of information really, really quickly. So
Mhm.
again, just sort of balancing the 2 where, maybe when you're incorporating AI, also, consciously take that effort to incorporate a more personal touch alongside that, so that
Right.
you can really make sure that your customer still feels like they're appreciated and that they're getting, the love from you.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I get exactly what you're saying. So that's the thing. I've seen a lot of people having real difficulty with that. Although I don't blame anyone. I mean, I can. There's just so much. It's just so many things, so many
Yeah.
tools, so many methods, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
I mean, and,
everybody's trying
like,
to find it.
we really I'm sure you're sort of aware of the same thing and you keep this in mind as well. But, there are so many different parts of marketing from
Mhm.
PR to experiential and events to, social to, all kinds of other content to sales enablement to, all the things. And each one of those channels within marketing really does require its own expert, right? And like even, as I think about building out social media teams, like each platform really could take its own expert and it really should. But
Mhm.
we are starting to run with smaller teams. So budgets are getting slashed or having to pull back on resources. And AI can really help fill those gaps where
Yeah,
like I kind of mentioned, maybe you're not spending as much time on research because you're able to drive more efficiency. So you're able to get multiple people doing multiple things. But that's not always your best case scenario. So I try to make sure that people
absolutely.
are really, really careful.
Absolutely. No, I get that. Especially with where I teach prompt engineering to marketers,
Oh,
and I've
cool.
seen that people have, yeah, they have like so much difficulty trying to figure out. So I just go like, okay, here's another way to make your output seem more human-like, and let's
Yeah.
bring your unique human element to the prompt so that the output is more human and sounds like you, so has
Yeah.
your voice to it. But
Yes.
then they don't know what their tone of voice is. They don't know what
Yes.
their brand voice is. You know what I mean? So it's funny how um, you get so kind of used to doing things in that way, and then you suddenly have to define it or put like a word to it. Or
Yeah.
funny but friendly but formal is not something that comes to people to put down at like tone of voice and prompt
Yeah.
engineering. But yeah, no, I completely get um, I feel like we're right at the beginning of this, and yeah, there's a long way, but yeah.
Uh,
Um, you brought up AI chatbots. So I wanted to ask you, like, have you seen or have you been able to use AI chatbots to really bring in incredible customer engagement, support, make them feel seen, heard, or be able to reply faster, stuff like that?
Yeah. I mean, so I've worked a lot with companies who are using AI chatbots, and it's particularly popular. So a large portion of my career is in B2B SaaS. And so in
Hmm.
B2B SaaS and in particular in the like banking fintech industry, that's becoming really, really popular. It can definitely, I mean, first, what I love about that is that it can take a load off of a customer service team, right? So you immediately get a response and you can sort of help filter the customer and get them what they need faster, which is great. So they, chatbot can provide instant responses, and our modern customers really love that in certain
Hmm.
instances, right? So sometimes we really want to
Hmm.
be able to find the right information really quickly. And in certain
Hmm.
instances, that goes really well. And we have this expectation for like a really quick response and accessible information. So this immediate availability and like problem solving capability that AI chatbots provide is phenomenal. But
Hmm.
again, it's a really fine balance and, could certainly enhance overall customer satisfaction because they're able to get to the bottom of things quickly and efficiently. But, sometimes it can also be really frustrating. And I experienced this too, where like you can only talk to a computer, right? So like I don't want that to
Hmm.
be our only option.
Yes,
Because
of course.
sometimes, I really just want to be able to talk to somebody because maybe, the bot isn't enabled with the specific thing that I'm looking for. So again, it's really that balance
Hmm.
of you want to be able to use a chatbot to help the customer get what they need and their information really quickly. Um, but you also want to give, and the
Yeah.
way I've seen this done really well is alongside that, it's like not finding what you need, talk to a human now, right? So like obviously
Yeah,
not saying
yeah,
like that, but like, talk to a team member where like you can strike that balance. So again, they feel like I
yeah.
have the ability to get my response and my answer quickly, but if I'm not getting there within, maybe 1, 2 interactions with the bot, I can immediately get sent over to a team member.
Right. Yeah. Um, we had this incredible use of a chatbot. Um, so what we did was I'm the CMO of a company called AppSec Engineer. It's a application security training platform, and a lot of developers and security engineers come out of the platform to learn hands-on skills, right, and skill up. And one of the things that they found very difficult was figuring out a roadmap of learning that works for them.
Yeah.
So that's extremely customized. So what we did was we built something called the AppSec GPT, which is like kind of like a custom GPT, but it's
Yeah.
trained on all of our internal roadmap data. And then what we did was we would allow users to come in there on their, which is just available on their dashboard, and they could ask the chatbot, "This is what I'm attempting to learn. This is my designation. This is my role. These are my daily challenges, and give me a roadmap that would help me, figure out this problem." And then it would give you a list of courses across the entire platform that would be able to get you to where you need to go, including labs, the right challenges, the right playgrounds, and all of that stuff. So they can
Love
actually
that.
learn by doing. Yeah. So we felt like that was we solved that problem like that. I mean, it took a
Yeah.
little longer, but yeah, and it was incredible for scalability.
Yeah.
We would have had to build these roadmaps out,
Individually every
for
time.
each individual. And
Yeah.
it's not like everyone's needs are the same. So
Yeah.
this is where personalization goes crazy, right? Like it's on
Yeah.
steroids. I'm very excited about how we can use chatbots to just train them on internal guide data, just
Yeah.
pure guides for SaaS products, B2B products. I mean, the sky's the limit on that.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and speaking of data, I mean, that's something that I think about all the time. And obviously, as we're engineering and as we're even using the platforms, we're giving them additional data to learn off of. And so one of the things
exactly.
that
Yeah.
I really like to tell people to be careful of is we don't, especially in like the more popular ones, right? So like OpenAI stuff and ChatGPT and those things, we still don't quite know how client specific data is being used and trained and things like that. So like I really try to tell people to be careful if you're working on a project for a client and you enter a company name, XYZ, and that's the real company name, you're using it for research. We just don't know how that
Yep.
company or client data is being used yet. So just something to be aware of. And, different
Absolutely.
people will have different thresholds with some of that stuff.
Yeah. That interview with the CTO of OpenAI last week comes to mind, right? I mean, it gives you
Yeah.
pause. Yeah. That was like,
Yeah.
I wanted to ask if you have any um, standout projects or campaign where AI, specifically AI chatbots, or it can even be just generally anything that's built off of AI, where it played a crucial role in that project or the campaign.
Yeah. So I don't have one particular, where, I can give out client information, but, I use a platform called Muckrock in a lot of my work,
Mm.
and they have incorporated AI into their platform, and they have an
Oh,
AI
nice.
chatbot as well that they've incorporated, and I use that all the time, just often, and they've done it really well. So it's a PR service, and their AI will help you write more effective pitches, but it'll also help you bring in more reporters that you're looking for. And then obviously they have a chatbot for their customer service, which I use all the time. But what I love is that it's really, really like kind of like I said earlier, they make it so easy and efficient to access a human as well. So I can go in, get
Mhm.
everything that I need. The AI can help me write my pitch. The AI can help me find the right reporters to pull in for that project or things like that. But then immediately, if I need access to a human, it's like literally the next, cursor over. And so I
Yeah,
think they've done that really, really well. And I'm in that system just all the time. So shout out to Mugrack because they're really nailing it and doing it right.
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I feel like there's a part of me that goes back to like uh, mid 1990s, or was it late 1990s, where I was like, when you would text someone and then you're absolutely petrified that they will call you. I think that's still true today though.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, right? So at this point, I'm like, just getting very comfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's becoming one of those things. Yeah. All right, let's go into something else, which is the future trends. Okay, so do you see emerging trends, technology? What do you think is going to shape the future of marketing?
So to me, it is learning language models and learning action models. That to me is just going to blow everything out of the water. So we're seeing that with custom GPTs and definitely bots, but it's these LLMs and the LAMs that I think are just going to have a huge impact on the marketing space. And I'm so excited personally to get my hands on Sora. Like you just have no idea. Like I am
Me
just,
too.
I know. Um,
I know.
I think I see it as being able to produce video isn't currently in my personal repertoire, right? That's a real struggle for me, and I can't do that on my own. But with Sora, like I imagine it becoming almost like a Canva thing, where like with Canva, it was so successful because anybody could become a designer, and I feel like with
Yeah.
Sora, we start to open that pathway for anybody to be able to produce really high quality video content. And that'll be a huge game changer for marketing teams, especially if done right. If you're working with a small team, limited resources, small budget, stuff like that can suddenly really elevate your marketing with, not a lot of time, not a lot of effort, and not a lot of spend. One of the
No.
things that I'm really seeing is that in particular with ad platforms and like with this latest Google update, they're starting to really throttle AI content. And I think that's really
Yeah.
interesting. To me, that's a huge win for copywriters and content writers who we saw, they were the biggest and first impacted by the GPTs and things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
And so this is going to become a real win for them. And it'll force businesses to go back to valuing really good content. And that really
Yes.
good content is often, either written or prompted by humans, right? So,
Yes.
but in particular with content, I've seen AI just do like a phenomenal job with the basics. But sometimes
Mhm.
it can get really robotic. And so it's always best to maybe have like a human edit some of that stuff, especially when it's produced by AI. So I think we're doing a really good job of um, pushing and throttling where we need to.
All right. So when you were talking about throttling, right? One of the things that came to mind was I just feel like it speaks to the point in time and history that we're in today, that we do not actually trust anything we hear. Have you like or seen like so my husband sends me a video the other day of some conversation, a very bizarre conversation that was happening on Twitter, and I find myself staring at their lips to make sure that it doesn't look robotic. Like, is this a real conversation? Because it feels like just because the conversation was odd, it felt like, oh, wait, maybe it's deep fake. Maybe it's one of those things. And not to mention all the Middleton stuff that's been going on online. Like, your first knee jerk reaction is, that's AI. That's
Yeah, yeah,
AI. That's, yeah, right? Like, so,
yep. That's exactly when you were talking about it, I immediately went to Kate Middleton, and I was like, "That's like
yes.
it is," but it's such a showcase of a real world scenario where, and in my world, like, especially in PR, saying nothing is a lot of times worse than saying something, because when you say
Yes.
nothing, you leave people room to sort of form their own opinions, and now in particular on places like TikTok and even Instagram, any of the social platforms, we can all connect really fast. So we're
Mhm.
being left the room to sort of come to our own conclusions, and we can spread those conclusions, which are likely probably nowhere near the truth, but we can spread them really quickly to a lot of people. So
Mhm.
it's definitely something that is certainly, like you said, just sort of a real testament to like the time that we're in and the things that one, people need to be aware of, right? So you've got to just know that it's out there and that you can be encountering it. But
Mhm.
two, there are generations of people that we need to be educating and informing, particularly our oldest generations and our youngest generations.
Yes.
So our oldest generations are just nowhere, like not at all informed on this stuff. They don't
Not
know
at
how it
all.
works. They don't know how to use it. In fact, a lot of
Mhm.
them don't even care to learn, which is okay. That's their prerogative. But they've never encountered it before. And then same thing with our youngest generations, right? So we need to be aware that it's there, it's happening, how to spot it or what things to be skeptical of, what to look for, but also that we need to help guide the people around us.
Yeah. No, I completely get it. I'm not even um it's just the level of mistrust. Like, I'm not even going to be able to pick up a phone call from someone I know really well without the thought crossing my mind that, no, I don't think this is a real conversation. And, you know,
Well, and I mean, you hear about scams all the time where people pick up the phone and it's, hey, it's your daughter. I need you to wire me money.
yeah,
Right? And
yeah,
so,
yeah.
like, so now my husband and I have like code words, right? Where like we know if I say this word or like if I don't say this word or something like
Mhm.
that, where like you've got to know that it's either me or not me.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. No, I have to hash that out with my daughter for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is, it's just so bizarre. I feel like we had some time to wait for that. Yeah, that when the Kate Middleton thing was going on, I mean, it's still going on, but
Yeah.
every single and it came to the point, like with the generation of the way things were, with that image, with the background all fuzzy, and I mean, it doesn't take a lot for you to know that it's been messed with. But
Yeah.
so, um, it came to the point where was it like a couple of days ago that she was walking to some farmers market thing, and just like,
Yeah.
oh, that's not her. This video isn't real. This is the, and then like
No.
I'm thinking about like what what it says about me now.
Yeah. But it's so interesting because I mean, we also know that like, so, lots of public figures hire lookalikes. And
Yes,
so we know that that's a real thing, but also, so I personally, I'm deep, deep, deep into the Kate Middleton rabbit hole. But
same.
I, when I look at the background of that video, like to me, I can very clearly see there are people wearing Christmas attire. There are Christmas decorations in the background, so it's either a lookalike or, to me, a lookalike and an old video during Christmas.
Oh, stop. I'm gonna go back and watch it
Yeah,
again now.
yeah. I'm so sorry I derailed our conversation.
No, but this is what I'm saying. Um, it's generally, yeah. Do you feel that sense of mistrust for everything? It's just like, oh, that's what you're on. Even if she honestly, if she would come to like Instagram live today, I would
Yeah,
still not believe it's real. I
I
still wouldn't. I don't think I would. See, that's the thing. That's where it is now. Yeah.
but but I also think they have only done things to quell that, like, they haven't done anything to quell that mistrust. They've only done things to fuel that flame. The first thing that you put out was an image that was very clearly edited. Like, you started that
Yes.
mistrust. And it's the
Yes.
same for brands, right? So if you're putting out stuff that your customers can't trust or, things like that, like, you have to be aware of that too as a brand.
Yeah. And it's inauthentic and it does a lot more damage than it does
Yes.
good. Yes, I'm
Yeah.
trying to see that. Yeah. You saw what happened with the Glasgow thing. Was it Glasgow? The Scotland, the Willy Wonka exhibit thing that they tried to generate in mid journey. And then did you not? Okay, so oh my god, I'm so glad I found someone who does that, so I can tell you that. It was this insane event that happened. I think it was Glasgow, Scotland, and they took a bunch of money from a lot of kids, saying that they're creating a Willy Wonka style adventure theme park, like a pop up adventure theme park, and then they um, basically generated images out of Midjourney for what the theme park would look like, and that itself is a mistake because even the world's best set designers will tell you that you cannot take on stable diffusion and expect to replicate that in real life. That is really hard to do. And then they set the expectations way high, right? And then the kids went there. It's literally a warehouse with like tarps and stuff, and it
Ugh.
was hot. And they were handing out like drinks, which was being made by what can only be described as a meth lab, and it was a PR nightmare. It was a paper. It was hilarious. The pictures and the general the look of it. I'll link it. It's too
Please.
fun.
Oh my
It's so.
gosh. I mean, you're just PR nightmare. Like, that's, and the best way to like avoid a PR nightmare just is to just not do that stuff, right? So like, if you're at all, maybe they don't have an agency or they don't have somebody that can tell them like, hey, this
Yeah.
is probably not a good
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I mean, I think he kind of set themselves up to fail at that point, right? Like, because
yeah,
generated a set out of Mid Journey. You're
yeah,
never going to be able to pull that off.
no,
Doesn't
no,
look. Yeah, it's too fantastical, right? It's
yeah,
better
yeah,
than
yeah,
what. Yeah.
exactly. Wow, that is wild. Please send it. I'd love to take a look.
Well, that's like the best example of brand trust gone like this.
Oh, and it's so
Yeah.
hard to get it back once it's lost. Oh
Yeah.
my god, it's so hard to get it back.
Yeah. You might as well just change your name and start over. Yeah.
Truly. No, no, truly,
Yeah.
like, once that happens, it's time for a rebrand, like, fully.
Yeah.
Mm.
Have you seen any other like really great uses of AI that you've actually seen people do really well with? Um, anything that somebody who's watching could enjoy and learn from?
Oh my goodness.
And that's my last question. Oh,
Uh,
thank you.
um, gosh. Now, honestly, all I'm thinking about is that Midjourney stuff. Um, you know, I would say some of the stuff that I've seen done really well is in research and like research outputs. And you're able
Mhm.
to just like get phenomenal research outputs on topics really quickly. And a lot of like the stuff that I've also seen done really well is in translations too.
Mhm.
And so, for example, I did consult with a company. I'm not going to name names because they lost their funding, so I don't want to like put any on blast or anything like that. But they were really able to use AI to help generate ad images and
Mhm.
ad content and copy, and then translate all of that very easily and very quickly using AI. And so they were able to like really quickly come in and overtake markets. So, they
Mhm.
had markets in Japan and Hong Kong and the UK and other parts of Europe
And
and the US, right? And so their team was really able to use, the use of AI generated content and translations to take their their core values and sort of get that into ads, imagery, content, and then get that content able and ready to use in other regions of the world really, really quickly and really, really well. So it's stuff like that where, like, again, if you've got a small team with not a lot of resources, something like that could really help you gain a really good competitive advantage really
Fantastic.
quickly and easily. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. That's one of the best uses I've heard. The translation uses, that's a good one. Yeah, I haven't thought of
Yeah.
that. I can imagine if they were able to prompt it to be culturally sensitive, understand what
Yeah.
means to a different culture. I can imagine how that would hit just the right, like, tone. And again, that's amazing.
Exactly, and that's something that, like, for a human, like, for me by myself, that would take me months, maybe even years of work to do, right? To be able to go understand localization, understand what the culture wants, understand what they're expecting, understand, the differences in the market. So, like, in the US here, everything is, Twitter appropriate or threads appropriate, 140 characters or less, right? We want the information super quickly. But in areas of Europe and Asia and other places in the world, that's not necessarily what converts the best. We're way more accepting of really long form content or really long form ads. And so those are things that AI can really help you do very well, very quickly. But
Yes.
so much of what it goes back to, and you sort of really nailed on this almost at the start to frame it, is your output is only going to be ever as good as your prompt.
Of
And so
course.
your prompt engineering is just so, so, so important.
Yes, absolutely. No, that's everything, right? Yeah. I preface my classes with I'm forgetting the name of the professor who said this, but he would say that you're not going to be replaced by AI. You're just going to be replaced by somebody who uses AI better than you. And it
Yeah.
always comes back. It always comes back to being able to communicate the right point of view. I have a graphic designer friend who says, it's fine. Nobody ever knows what they want anyway. How are they going to prompt it out of an AI when they can't prompt it out of me? So, I mean, she has a point though.
Yeah.
Uh, they when there isn't very good clarity on exactly what your output is supposed to be
Yeah.
and how you will translate um your input to give you that output, you're
Yeah.
never going to get it. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Absolutely.
it's almost that, I mean, that becomes a real good exercise in almost leadership, right? Where, like, if you
Yeah.
can give really good direction to an AI, then you can probably give really good direction to humans. And what
Yes.
I love, and I think maybe the successes that I've seen from, my own use of AI is because I tend to be able to give people really good direction. I do, I love to sort of let people start off with their own creativity and then hone from there, right? And so I think that a lot of that comes through in my prompt engineering, and I almost start to talk to it kind of like I would to, like, another person, right? So if I was gonna take that, I've got a campaign that I'm working on, and I was gonna take it over to the art director, I would talk to it exactly as I would that art director. Here's what I'm looking for. Here's what I need. Here's what I need it to achieve. I'd love
Yes.
for you to sort of incorporate some of your creativity, but keep it within these bounds. And then from the first output, I can help engineer it and prompt it to, get it to what I'm really looking for.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love um long iterative prompting, the amazing stuff it can do. I like the taking that to the next level and having ChatGPT generate your prompts for you, especially when it's
Ooh,
replicate over and over. Oh yeah, yeah, that's in my class as well. So basically, when there's a task that you're going to be doing a lot of, and you want to just get that prompt right, you can ask it, and you can go and try this. You can ask it to generate a prompt for a set task and be like, here's a good example of what I have in mind, and actually give them something that you've done. So it absorbs from all of that tone and understanding what a good output looks like,
yeah.
and then builds a prompt for you to be able to reuse later on. And then
Oh, I
you can
love that.
tune it and iterate on it, and finally you get the perfect prompt that's giving you the right result. And then copy and paste that into what you will call your prompt library. And then you use that over and over again.
Love that. I'm stealing that from you immediately. That's so good. That's so good. But I do that. I mean,
Great.
I definitely do that a lot too, where, like, I'll take an example and then I'll say, use, this as an example. And then, give me something that it sounds like this, and maybe it's formatted and structured like this, but maybe it's for a different topic. And so, I do that a lot. So now you just help me take it to the next level.
I'm glad to hear it. It
Thank you.
was so nice talking. you. Thank you
Likewise.
so much, Blair. It's been 30 minutes. Thank you very much for being
Thank you
here.
so much for having me.
It was so nice talking to you. And I hope I see
Likewise.
you soon in California.
Yes, likewise. Looking forward to it.